Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, I'm going to do an update to a story I did a few days ago, which was titled, Man Packs Up and Disappears on Cheating Wife. Now she's freaking out that he replaced her with a nanny. And guys, a lot of you let me know in the comment section there was an update to this, which I didn't know at the time, and I would have done this much sooner, but I was away for a long weekend in Charleston, South Carolina. Maybe you guys saw some pictures on Instagram or X. Anyhow, to all the guys out there that maybe live in Charleston, great time, loved it there. And I encourage all you guys that like history and good food, go to Charleston, South Carolina, great place. So, we're going to do this update here. And let me tell you, as you all recall, that was about the guy with his crazy ex-wife, got rid of her because she was cheating, moved on, met a young gal 12 years younger than him, great connection, they got married. And I was a little wary about her because she was very young and all that, and she was a nurse, but seemed like they had a great thing going. And this guy was doing a good job with his son, and his wife was losing her mind, harassing the gal, picking fights and all that. Well, the drama is about to get way, way worse. So, it picks up where it left off. He says here, so, I've been getting into a lot of chat requests on additional context, updates, and information. A lot of people ask me about red flags and not seeing them before and after I married both times. The first time I married to the crazy chick, I didn't see any glaring red flags, but in my defense, it was 4 years ago and my list of red flags to check was pretty short. In my second marriage, however, my list of possible red flags were significantly larger. Hence the 4-year relationship before the marriage. I would say that experience my first marriage definitely helped in that. How do you like that? He learned. First marriage, he didn't see any red flags. After his experience, the second marriage, before he got married the second time, oh, he was looking. He was looking for all sorts of stuff. That's what you got to do. Not to mention the fact that my second wife is leagues above my first wife. Well, no kidding. She's 12 years younger. To be honest, that is somewhat expected as my first wife came from a broken home with multiple half-siblings. Her mother never married, yet had three or four daughters. Which one is it? Multiple daughters with 3 different baby daddies. That should have been the first clue. And that's not just her, it's her aunt, and most of her cousins on her mother's side are like that, etc. Hear that? One of the most important lessons, guys, out there is pay attention to what your girl's family's like. If they're like this, where there's no marriage and your girl has multiple sisters and brothers, half sisters, half brothers, different baby daddies, and the whole family's like this, and it's drama and turmoil, get out of there. Because that's going to become your life. It's going to be drama. It's going to be like Jerry Springer show. On the other hand, if your girl's family is not like that, and it's loving, and it's kind and supportive, and all these positive things, then you have a shot. I ain't going to say it's going to work out, but there's a better chance of it being okay. My second wife, on the other hand, came from a very stable family. She's the second youngest of 6 siblings, and they have a very tight family support system. And after I proved that I was serious in this relationship, they had become my family as well. There you go. She comes from a solid family, traditional. Doesn't mean this is going to work, but the odds are better. As for my wife's occupation, there seems to be this notion that nurses cheat with other nurses and doctors in the hospital. Well, sir, notion, it goes well beyond notion. This happens all the freaking time. And that's why I said what I said. But I hope she's different. There are exceptions. With this, all I can say is I trust my wife enough that she doesn't cheat on me because she goes out of her way to call me during her work hours and to placate my fears. Well, that doesn't mean shit. She could be, she could be doing a lot of things and then call you before or after, but I'm very cynical at this point in my life. But I'm hoping she's a good one. She and I signed a prenup as well, that if she cheats on me, she gets nothing. Well, that's good. I can't control her actions and or push myself to be a helicopter husband, or hire a private PI to watch her every move. I've taken another leap of faith on her, yes, and I just pray that this time is different, but if it's not, my nuclear options remains. Okay, he's right. He can't follow her around 24/7. That's no fucking relationship. But he's got that prenup in case, but I hope he went about the prenup right. Prenups can be messed with. My child is getting along with her very well, and since his mother spends little time with him because of all the restraining order crap, he has grown so attached to my current wife that he cries when we drop him off at school and runs after her whenever she walks away. He's currently 4 years old and still at that age when they are attached to their mommies. Since my ex never really spent time with him, I guess he never got attached to her in the beginning. Well, thank God the 4-year-old son didn't get attached to his ex-wife because she's a nightmare. And we're just getting started. Another thing involving my ex-wife is that she has been trying to get over the restraining order so she can see her son in person instead of just video chats. She even said that she would pay all the child support and arrears that she owes, which at first made me surprised that she even had that much money to give, because I believe she owes me about $10,000. Notice that his ex owes him like 10 grand. If this was reversed and the husband owed 10 grand, it'd be a lot different. He'd be behind bars, or there'd be a lot of shit going on to get some money out of him. I reached out to one of her cousins, who I still talk to because they respect me more than they do her, to see what changed with her. Like if she got a sugar daddy or something like that. It turns out that she started an OnlyFans. Oh, for goodness sake. At which point I went to the custody center saying that I will not allow her to interact with my son with a SEX worker. This may seem extremely petty to some of you, and while it may be, I will not allow her son to be in contact with STDs. I don't know what kind of content she does on OnlyFans, but I don't care. And having an OnlyFans worker as a parent just doesn't sit right with me. Amen. Big surprise, she's going to OnlyFans. I'm debating on asking my ex to sign away her parental rights. This is not to punish her, but I need to set hard boundaries. If she did have a sugar daddy, maybe it would have been better because those things can be ignored or hidden, but in OnlyFans, come on here. Yes, exactly. Next update. This is a series of small updates. The next one is dealing with legal advice he was asking Reddit about. It says, after the divorce, my ex was a nightmare. We placed her on restraining order because she tried to attack my wife, and she briefly lost visitation rights over our son. Her restraining order is not permanent. However, and she's constantly trying to challenge the restraining order so she can visit our son. I don't trust her to be anywhere near my son or my family. She threatened my wife several times before the marriage and tried to sue me for taking my son when I moved out. She's been missing child support, got kicked out of the military, and recently started an OnlyFans according to her cousins. Man, she's had a big year. Joined the military, kicked out of the military, harassing his now wife. What else? And starting OnlyFans. Well, at least she has goals, even though they don't work out. She had reached out and said that she will pay all the due child support and arrears so she can show me that she is back on track. Once I found out she was on OnlyFans, I told her that I will not allow her anywhere near our son. Oh boy, back to the lawyer's office. I've been talking to my lawyer for the past few days and asked him what I could do to block her further. He told me that unless she has a history of being violent or neglectful with the kid, he couldn't make a claim that she was a threat to my son's safety. Considering that I was the only one responsible for his well-being before the divorce, I can't say that my son was in danger with her. She literally just gave him the iPad and did her own thing when she had him. Well, that seems like a lot of moms nowadays. Here you go, watch the iPad while I'm on my iPad posting things on social media about myself. I asked him whether that couldn't be considered as neglectful, and he said it was a long shot with him. Then I brought up the history of restraining orders my current wife put on my ex, and he said that only shows the hostility between the two women, not with my wife and my child. And all the time she's been posting on social media that my current wife is neglecting our son, putting out false claims, and she is constantly saying that because she is a nurse, she's going to cheat on me. Well, takes one to know one, huh? Because this ex-wife is a giant cheater herself. I feel like I need to make a permanent restraining order on her so that she stays away from my family. What do you guys recommend? And the comment section said all sorts of shit. Next update. Now we're going to be dealing with a police situation. Now listen to this. He says, today has been a wild day, and I'm not going to lie, I feel like I was just in a big fight. So today my ex-wife, whom I divorced for cheating on me about 4 years ago, tried to take our son out of school today when she is not supposed to be within 1,000 feet of him or my family. The school refused since I had told them in advance that the only person who is allowed to take my son away from school are myself or my current wife. Oh, she's in big trouble. The school contacted me and I bolted to the school, where I see my ex-wife flanked by 2 school security guards. I yell at her that she is not even supposed to be here, and she yells back saying that I have denied her visitation to her son for too long. It gets into a shouting fight between us, and the security guards stand between us, trying to stop anything. Meanwhile, little kids are looking out the window watching the whole show. This poor kid. What a mess. I call the police and explain the situation. Meanwhile, my ex says that I don't have to involve the cops, and all she wants to see is our son. The cops come, and now she tries to walk away, only to be caught by the security guards. I explained to the cops that she is my ex and my family, and I put her on a restraining order for trying to force her way into my home, harassing my current wife, and sending threatening messages to my family. This is not her first time violating the SO. So the cops arrest her and drag her screaming behind into the car. That would be fun to see. She brought this on herself. All this stuff she's brought on herself. The cops tell me if I want to press charges, and in the heat of the moment, I said I do. I tell him that I want to add attempted kidnapping on top of the violating the restraining order. The police also said that they found alcohol in her car and smelled it on her, so I asked them to add public intoxication. Hey, why not? And you know what? You're damn right. She's driving under the influence. And then she's going to take the kid potentially and drive with the kid in the car under the influence. You can imagine what could potentially happen there. She deserves what she's going to get. I have no sympathy for this piece of shit. Before they go and process her, the police officer asks if I can talk to her by her request. I go and she is crying, saying that if I allowed her to see and meet our son, this wouldn't have happened. No, asshole. If you weren't cheating on me in our marriage, this wouldn't have happened. If you weren't acting like a psycho and harassing my now wife, this wouldn't have happened. If you weren't doing all these things, this wouldn't have happened. This is on you. And all that has happened in the past 3 hours. I brought my son from school and I'm taking the rest of the day off to watch over him. My current wife is at home with him too. I admit that her crying and screaming hit me hard. It's been over a year since she had seen him in person because of the restraining orders. Because of those, I may have not allowed video calls and did neglect to send her pictures of our son. Not that I'm required to do that, but part of me feels like I could have avoided this if I allowed her visitations once in a while. Don't let her crying and her all that crap manipulate you into feeling bad for her. Remember, man, all the shit she's brought into your life? No. I wonder how desperate she would have to feel to violate the RO and resist being arrested. Then I tell myself that there's a difference between seeing our son and taking our son. I go back and forth between that. She'll probably be processed and go to prison with a permanently worse criminal record on her. I literally made the decision that may destroy her future. Did I go too far? Should I just drop the charges now with a warning? No! She has to learn that there are consequences. Because there hasn't been any so far, just restraining orders. You know? Having her be behind bars, have her freedom taken away for a few years, that should teach her some lessons. And maybe she'll become a lesbian in prison. I don't know. And she'll find a lover and she'll leave you alone. But, no. She brought this on herself. Now the final update. She's in the slammer. It says, so my ex-wife is now in prison for public indecency, breaking the RO, public intoxication, DUI, resisting arrest, along with many others that I don't know about. She got 5 years. Couldn't have been a nicer girl. Let's also add attempted, taking the kid. She was arrested a few months ago and couldn't afford bail or bond herself out. I don't know how that works though. She asked me to help her. What? Sure, honey. I'm the reason. Your actions forced my hand, which put you there. But yeah, I'll pay for your bail. Bullshit. But I rejected her because it was ridiculous. She then got a public defender who tried hard to reduce her charges to misdemeanor or something, but the judge didn't want to take a chance on her due to her history. She was finally sentenced last month. 5 years in prison. Well, she behaves herself. Maybe she'll be out in 3. Maybe she'll have a girlfriend. She'll be out in 2029. She might get out early for good behavior, but who knows? If I was still angry at her, I would feel satisfied, maybe even euphoric. That karma finally caught up with her. But all I can feel for her is pity. Smack! You can be a kind individual, but don't pity your enemies. I know. The big guy upstairs says love your enemies and all that, but, I'm not a fan of that. Sure, she put herself in the situation, and all of her actions following the separation divorce were on her and her alone. Yes, this was all on her. This was made more evident for me when I finally visited her in prison. For the public defender, she begged to talk to me and my wife one last time. Oh, for goodness sake. She didn't want her son to come along because she didn't want him to remember her in prison. I wouldn't be taking my kid to prison. The only way a kid should see prison is if your kid's a fucking juvenile delinquent and you take him to that scared straight program. That's when you take kids to prison, and the inmates get to scare the shit out of them. So last week, my wife and I visited her through one of those rooms with the glass and the phone. Honestly, she looked better than I'd ever seen her before, probably because she wasn't under influence. Well, she's got to look good for the girls there. After a few introductions and words, my ex apologized to my wife for everything and asked her to watch over her son. Being the angel that my wife is, my wife accepted and assured her that her son always will be loved like her own. After that, my wife left and left me with my ex to talk by ourselves. Oh, how wonderful. We talked about how we were doing, and she finally said that she's sorry and that she won't ever bother me again. She is planning to go back to her home country after prison because she really can't do anything with a record. Home country. I told her that I wished she would get better, and she said that she can't go lower than what she is right now. You can always go lower. Well, that is it, I guess. I won't be bothered with her again. I'd already ghosted her, divorced her, put RO against her, and removed her from the life before all this. The finality of this has somehow made me feel hollow, as if the negative emotion is leaving me because she will not exist in my life anymore. The end. So there you go, guys. All her actions got her behind bars. And frankly, that's what she deserves. And frankly, it might be what she needs to maybe get her shit together. I mean, who knows? She's a drug addict, an alcoholic, all that. Needs help, whatever. But that'd be very nice. She does her time. Maybe learns something, hopefully. And goes back to her home country and they never hear from her again. Because I have a very hard time believing that she'll come out of prison and will be a perfect angel reformed ever since. I mean, some people go to prison and they become reformed and they get out and learn. It's true. But a lot don't. Leper doesn't change his spots. And the point is, her character is unlikely to change. I would just make sure he's well aware when she gets out. And keep a close eye on his boy. And you never know, someone like that can make friends in prison who could make things difficult. So be very careful. A lot of security around that house. You get the point. So anyhow, well, quite the ending here. But this guy, bad marriage, turned it around. Got a great gal he's married to. Hopefully works out. So good for him. And I'm glad he left her and an asshole's in prison. But we shall see what happens next. But as far as I know, and I did some digging, there aren't any updates after this. So hopefully that's that. Maybe in 2029 when she gets out earlier, there might be an update. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. If you like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.